1-0, Canes down in the Eastern Conference Finals. There are a lot of games throughout a season that seem important, that are important. There are a lot of games throughout a season where it feels like this one, for all the marbles, they aren't this game. This is the one. This is the one. If there is a game to tense up, if there is a game to let the neighbors know that if there's screaming coming from your living room, if you're watching on your couch, don't worry about it. It's tonight's game. This is the one. It is as important of a hockey game as we have had this season and in recent years for the Carolina Hurricanes. And that's not to be taken lightly. Also, I will attempt to make sure as we move towards the game here, and we are a good amount of hours out. If you're tailgating, we'll try to keep you updated. There's wind. Okay.
A little breezy.
We've put extra reinforcements on holding our tent down outside of the Lenovo Center, which we hope hold up. But the reason why I bring that up is I'm going to do my best not to just go straight puns with the storms brewing, the calm before the storm, the hurricanes
approaching.
There's so many ways to go with it. When we bring up those types of words, I think it's just important to acknowledge that it could actually be the weather we're talking about, and any other of the hurricanes positive vibes that we're getting, I think need to come from the hockey players.
Yeah,
right. I'm not sitting here going, 25 mile an hour gusts. You know what that means? 3 goals in the first period.
No, hey, if that's what it takes, I'm in.
Well, obviously, but they're gonna have to earn those, right? That's what it comes down to. I am notoriously. I probably overdo it at times. I'm notoriously stingy with the term must win because I get frustrated when every game all postseason long is must win. Or if there's a game in November and it's like, must win or else this season's a wash. I'm like, well, they still have about 60 of them to go. So maybe they can turn it around. Tonight is must win. Matter of fact, I put the question out to the fans. And this is the response I was looking for. We got a couple hundred responses. Just a poll up on Twitter. I posted it not long ago. 97% say it's a must-win. The 3% of you amongst us, you're more optimistic than I am.
Yeah, you're very level-headed people.
You're out there going, you can fall behind 0-2. Then you go on the road to Florida. That's where things turn around, and we win a whole bunch.
And we saw Edmonton last year fall behind 3-0 in the series against Florida and push it to a Game 7.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it becomes a Herculean task. Mm-hmm. It's already difficult to come back from 1-0 when you lose it on the road against a team like Florida. It becomes nearly insurmountable if you lose tonight. And I don't think we're incorrect for calling it a must-win. I don't think we're incorrect for putting that kind of importance on the game. I think it is part of the reason you play sports. Part of the reason you love the competition is to go into a game where it's not hidden, right? This is for all the marbles. This keeps your season alive. This makes your goals remain on the table, and that's how I think the Canes need to treat it, right? It is a whatever kind of ammunition you have to spend, you use it. If you can hear that wind, again, we're not going to go with too many weather puns. But we may have just lost the QR code that you need to scan in order to win the Seth Jarvis signed puck.
Sorry, I got Ryland's on it. Yeah, so that, by the way, Tim mentioning that, if you do swing by the tent here, we're here till 7 o'clock here on the plaza between Lenovo and Carter Finley. We do have a QR code that you can scan in order to
hope we still have the QR code.
QR code to scan to win a Seth Jarvis signed puck. So come out here, be safe while you do it.
We do have them. I believe we have them both back under control. The wind took off.
It's all right.
So if you randomly hear like a oh bleep or a grunt or something from Dennis and I, it has nothing to do with the hockey. That probably just means something is being blown down around us.
Yeah.
And we have to make a quick move to go save it. So that's where we're at. We're outside the Lenovo Center. Part of the reason why you come outside the Lenovo Center is to get a feel for the fans in a tailgating sense, and we're passing that along to you. Here's what. Let's go back to it. Right back in. Here's why I think tonight is so important. If you went back before, I do a lot of this, right? If you go back before the series, what would you have said, right? It's a good way to make sure that you're not overreacting to anything. before this series, and we're only one game in, I think if you spoke honestly with yourself, you would have said we're probably going to have to win one in Florida, right? If you're a Canes supporter, you probably would have said, I know that we have home ice, and I know that if we could win all the games at home, it wouldn't matter what we do on the road. But if you gave yourself some truth serum, you probably would have said, we're probably going to have to win one, right? They're going to get theirs. They're a good team. Probably going to have to win at least one on the road in Florida. I still think that's true. It obviously is. Winning 2 on the road is tough, right? It just seems like the levels jump a lot if you lose tonight. Getting momentum back after a bad game, it's plausible. Grabbing that momentum back after 2, now it's a much bigger task. It's that second step is a doozy. So tonight, without being any kind of like mathematically eliminated, tonight is a game that the Canes must win. That's not just coming from me. It's coming from 97% of Canes fans out there that are responding to the poll.
We also have that same poll up on our YouTube live chat as well. Right now, 96% say yes, must-win game.
Our YouTube comments slightly more optimistic than our Twitter followers. Here's the other side of it. That's all like almost physical, tangible, right? You fall behind 2-0, you're going to have to win 2 on the road. You lose the momentum, right? That's all right there on the surface. You can read it fair and square. The mental side of the advantage that you'd be giving up by losing these 2, I think, is also dramatic. There's this guy, Bobrovsky.
Sergei Bobrovsky.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's the goalie for the Florida Panthers. And for whatever reason, he seems to level up against the Canes. And for the most part, I think it's just, on odds, like by if you look at numbers, good players tend to play well, right? Good players tend to play better, more than not good players, and he's a good goalie. So chances are you just caught him on, a string, right? You just caught him where he's on a heater, fits in with your game, whatever it is. But the longer the string goes on, the longer it's not just, he was pretty good against you last time, he had a good series. And the longer it's not just, that other thing took place, and it happens again, and it happens again, that wiggles its way into your brain, right? It just does. It's a pitcher that has, a 3.7 lifetime ERA, but has a 1.2 against your favorite team.
Yep.
And if the longer it goes on, the more you can't help but think, maybe he does know, like he's got something on us. Maybe he does. Maybe we're giving him a tell. Maybe there's something. And those thoughts are the ones that become really, really dangerous. And I'm not saying that advantage would live on forever if he wins today, but you might need an off season to shake it loose, right? You might need to go unplug, and needless to say, you're not going to have time to unplug within the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think tonight is must win. I think we've voiced the importance. How do you fight that back? I think you lean on your veterans, you lean on your culture, you lean on your leaders. One of them being Jordan Martinook, if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. He spoke to the media today about how in Game 2 they can make the Panthers uncomfortable and impose the Canes' will on the visitors.
Yeah, try and play in their end as much as you can. I felt like we got. I don't think we got to it enough. How we can kind of impose our will on teams when we get the forecheck going and get playing in their end. And I think we can have some better sticks and all that stuff to keep the play down there. And obviously we trying to make adjustments to limit their zone exits and stuff like that. But obviously you need to play in their end, and you need to. I felt like we created enough, but you gotta get action and get guys in front of Bob and all the stuff that goes along with it.
There's first of all, that is true, and imposing your will and playing in the offensive zone, these aren't secrets, right? These are things that the Canes try to do against everybody. And I want that to be clear. There's this narrative, and I've heard it from many of you, and I've heard it actually from many fans of other teams, that what you did against the Devils or what you did against the Capitals simply isn't going to work against Florida. I think there's some logic there, but it's not. What you did against those teams won't work against Florida. It's, what you did against the Devils or what you did against the Capitals simply isn't going to work against Florida. I think there's some logic there, but it's not. What you did against those teams won't work against Florida. It's, what you did against the Devils or what you did against the Capitals simply isn't going to work against Florida. doing the things that you did against the Devils and the Caps is more difficult against Florida.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You can't tell me that the Canes should change up their goals or change up who they are, or change up who their identity is because they're playing a team that's, bigger, skates better, whatever, however you want to describe the Panthers. The blueprint still has to be possessing the puck in the offensive zone for long stretches at a time. Has to be being aggressive on defense. Has to be getting shots on net. Has to be all of those things. It's just, sure, you got to work a little harder at it, right? Sure, it's not going to come as easy as it did against a banged-up New Jersey Devils team. That doesn't mean you change anything about who you are. You just have to do it better.
Yeah, that's a panic move.
Yes.
That's as simply as a panic move. And one thing that we noticed in game one, I know we got to get the break here, is
make a point. We'll wait for a good point.
But Florida was able to transition the puck through the neutral zone with ease.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to get the puck into the Carolina end with ease. That's something that you don't see against the Carolina Hurricanes very often. That's what Martinook's talking about with forecheck and leaning on guys in puck possession, those kinds of things. Not allowing any sort of gap in space between you and your guy coming through the neutral zone. That's something that you have to make sure that Florida can't string 2 or 3 passes together consecutively and have clean entries into the zone. That's something to keep on notice tonight. If you see early in the game Florida having trouble just getting out of their own zone, that means Carolina's on top of it.